morning and welcome to Beyond the Front Page, a show brought to you by Q Community College for the spring 2019 semester here at the college. This is a show that's put on Spectrum, Verizon Fios, the Auburn Regional Media Access, better known as ARMA, as well as Win 89.1, the college's radio station. I'm your host, Guy Cosentino. On Friday, May 17th, the Auburn Education Foundation will hold its annual Hall of Distinction Awards at the Hilton Garden Inn in Auburn. They will recognize 5 alum from Auburn schools who have made their mark on our community and the nation, if not the world. Joining us in the studio again is Auburn Education Foundation President Janie Hutchinson, as well as their Board Vice President Mickie Post, who is also serving double duty in the district right now as the interim principal at Owasco Elementary School. We'll talk to them about the 5 inductees, what's going on with the Auburn Education Foundation. They've had some great events, especially in the last year, that we'll discuss. So welcome back in different iterations back to Beyond the Front Page. For those who have never watched you before, Janie Hutchinson, what is the Auburn Education Foundation?
The Auburn Education Foundation is a,
501c3? Yes.
Not-for-profit, and we basically raise money to offer grants to staff within the public school system, the Auburn Enlarged City School District, and if they come up with an innovative idea that they would like to do, that the district, it's not within the district's purview to fund, and they will apply for a grant, and we send it to committee, and if approven, they will.
So this is not to, I know Jeff Parazzolo will be on in 3 weeks. This is not to subsidize the district budget. These are items that normally a district wouldn't pay for.
Correct. These are extended opportunities, extended learning opportunities for students and staff in the Auburn Enlarged City School District that are not budget funded.
All right, so let's talk about the one that was just the other day. Farmer Tonto was at all of our elementary schools, and we'll get into the Hall of Distinction in a second.
Right.
We'll make sure there's enough time for that. But I heard about this in several different iterations. Who was Farmer Tonto, and was he at all 5 elementary schools?
Correct, yes. He is someone from Cameroon. We had 3 of our district librarians who went to Cameroon to visit and to learn a little bit about their system. We have preservation of water that is being discussed within the schools. Following that, Farmer Tonto and 2 other authors came to the district. They presented at each of the elementary school, and then they did an evening program that was co-sponsored or sponsored by AEF through our funding.
And where was the evening event?
The Hilton Garden Inn.
And how many? Any idea how many people attended that?
We just got a card from one of the librarians, and she said that it was attended by over 300 people.
So a lot of children had the opportunity. They all had the opportunity to meet Farmer Tonto and the other authors. Many of them had parents or grandparents or people who bought books. They came in with 2 different books. One was How to Get to School, but the more common book I heard that people wanted to buy was Farmer Tonto the Farmer, correct?
Correct, correct. The program at the elementary schools was very well received, incredibly engaging. The kids were excited to experience, to learn about, and of course to try some different activities at a challenging.
I had heard there, at least at Herman Avenue, there are a number of teachers who can balance water jugs on their head.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
I'm not sure that's a requirement to be an employee of the Auburn District. We can ask that of Mr. Parazzolo in 3 weeks.
It's great for your balance.
Your balance. So you have a not-for-profit board. How many people sit on the board?
13.
14 at the moment.
And so of those, are you all, you 2 happen to be either current, Again, pitch hitting right now. You were an elementary school teacher at Owasco and at Seward for many years. You were at Genesee and then went to Owasco, became principal, stepped down and went back. How many times is this now?
This is my third
time.
round, yes.
I think you're on Jeff
But I love
Parazzolo's speed. Well, you wouldn't do it if you did. So is everybody on the board a former teacher or a current teacher? Okay.
No.
So who are they? Where do they come from?
We try to get people from all walks of life, and we also have committees, and we have people who we call them community partners who they're not on the board, but they serve on our committees. They help out with the committees.
So no paid staff?
No paid staff. No, we're all volunteers.
It's you all. Okay. Look at nice smile. So your main goal is to raise money.
Yes.
And so one of your big events is on the 17th. First of all, what is the Hall of Distinction?
Well, the Hall of Distinction was started in 2012, and it was mainly, we recognized that when AEF first started, there was a component part that the originators wanted in terms of recognizing alumni, or an alumni component, so that you could keep in touch with them. And that's very difficult because high schools don't keep track of their graduates and where they are. So a committee got together in 2000.
Community colleges don't either. Just so you know, we don't do a great job on that either.
I know it. It's hard. And so in 2012, a committee got together. Your wife was one of the committee members, and we just decided that we would have an alumni Hall of Distinction and honor graduates of the public school system who have done super things, either philanthropically, or if they've done something great in their career. Volunteer work, and we established some guidelines for it, and we sought nominations, and we have been doing
everybody
it.
From my favorite, Mr. Martin, who's
Yes.
a teacher, Amy Dacey, who
Yes.
did a lot of stuff on the national level, Gino Albarisi, Melina Carnicelli, there's a whole, Jack Lady, John
Yes.
Lady,
Yes.
who's a general, whole
We've had, with this year's class, and we're inducting 5 this year, we will have inducted 42.
So where is it going to be held?
The Hilton Garden Inn.
Apparently that is your favorite place to
That
go
is.
right now. So let's go through, tell me who the 5 are first, and then we'll break them down by who each one is,
Okay,
first of all.
we have Michael Lynch. He graduated in 1969 from East. And then all the others graduated from Auburn High School. Brian McCune, Auburn High School in 1981. Tricia Purdy Messenger, Auburn High School in 1996. Julie Jordan DePalma, Auburn High School in 1997, and John Libertor, Auburn High School in 2003.
So the citizens profile, I think about 3/4 of them so far. I don't know if they've done everybody.
They've done everyone except Michael Lynch. Yes.
Michael Lynch. So, so let's start with Michael Lynch then. He's a biologist.
Correct.
So tell us a little bit why your committee decided he was a great applicant, or not applicant, great nominee.
Right. Well, because he's a leader in the study of evolution at the Arizona State University, and he has written numerous papers and everything on evolution, and remarkable enough that he was the first one in his family to attend college. And he got interested in biology because he would play in the woods and loved Owasco Lake, and would do everything with the lake. And he does a lot with that type of thing. And he was actually nominated by another Auburnian graduate who was into biology at the University of Chicago, Coleman. Maureen Coleman. Yes. And she had heard him at a lecture. Because he lectures all over, and she went to one of his lectures and was really impressed with him, and then went up to speak with him afterwards, and just in general conversation realized that he grew up around the corner from her parents in Auburn. And so
We are the center of the universe.
You know, I was about to say, it's something that I've always heard you say, that Auburn is the center of the universe.
So if you, if you go, let's go to the other end of the spectrum on your nominees. You've got, and I think he's a contemporary of your children.
It is. He is
John
a contemporary
Libertor,
of my children.
Pianist and is a professor at Notre Dame.
Yes.
So tell us about him.
He was always very talented. Music has always been very important. He is the son of the Libertors, of course, she having been a teacher, he an architect in Auburn. And he is both a composer and a pianist. He's an assistant professor of theory and composition at Notre Dame. Music has been played around the world. He's an amazing, amazing musician.
I just remember him if they would have events at the Schweinfurt. And
Exactly.
Just to hear,
Yes.
I think you and I were on the board at the time.
Yes, we were.
He would just, I never knew that he was just 16 or 15 or whatever. He was just wonderful.
Just remarkable. They've played compositions that he has written have been played in world famous opera houses and all over the world who talk about world connections. And he just recently became interested in a glass harmonica, which I never heard of it. And there are very, very few people who can play a glass harmonica, and he commissioned one to be built specifically for him.
So is he playing the night of the event?
I wish he would.
Well, maybe we can entice him. I don't know.
So you also have, Abigail Adams would say, I don't want to leave the women out. So you've got Judy Jordan DePalma, who's the class of '97. She's a personal injury attorney. where did her nominations come from?
Her nomination came from a family friend, and more so because being relatively young, under 40, and has started her own, now has her own law firm, and just for the recognition that she has received. She has consistently been nominated for the trial lawyers, top 40 under 40. And the Democrat and Chronicle in Rochester recently, last year, named her as a woman to watch in Rochester. She does a lot of volunteer in the Mental Health Association in Rochester, married with 2 children, and she hosts her own radio show on legal matters.
Oh, that's great. And then you have Brian McCune, who Billy McCune was a guest here many years before he passed away. He has a background in national security. We most likely all know him because of his association with Joe Biden and the Obama White House. He's another interesting one that you have a nomination from on both the national and the world stage.
Yes, yeah, just because he's done so much. Over 30 years in political with Joe Biden and in the Obama administration.
And what's he doing now?
Right now, he's the director at Penn Biden Center for Diplomacy and Global Engagement out of Penn State. But I think it has a component office in Washington.
And then last but not least is a personal friend on my end, Tricia Purdy Messenger, class of '96, who does a lot of advocacy in 2 fields. One is healthcare.
Yes.
She's with United Health Care Systems, but she's also a children's health advocate as well.
She is a huge advocate of inclusion and does much to foster inclusion in all settings.
And her sister nominated her in that particular case.
Yes.
Which I believe she would like to kill her sister at this particular, because I know Tricia is not exactly known as a very public person.
Right,
so,
right.
So she was nominated. So all of them were. I'm assuming you get a lot more nominations this.
Yes.
You narrow it down. Is there any overarching criteria you use?
No, we take the nominations. We look for, of course, people who have done outstanding work in their field. And we keep all nominations on file, and we review all of them each year.
And we continue to seek other nominees.
So even though you've picked the ones for 2019, please. So the website is coming up, and we've got about 3 or 4 more minutes on here. I just want to finish up with some things. How much does it cost to attend the event?
$35 a ticket.
And I know they're popping up the website, I hope, and so you can go online. And there's secure donations there.
Absolutely.
In the past, you've had the honorees talk to students. Is that still a plan? Okay.
Yes, they are. That's already been set up. In fact, another former principal, Paul Del Piano, he's a community member on the committee, and he works very hard and very closely with Brian Morgan to come up with appropriate classes. Yeah, and they enjoy that. The kids like it, and the honorees enjoy the connection with the kids.
And I don't want to let you leave without talking about money for a moment. So you have given out more than how much at this stage?
$230,000 in grants,
so that's money that taxpayers have not had to come up from, that have been invested in the district.
Right.
You did these, when you were on last, we talked a little bit about the innovation labs.
Yes.
Can you just really briefly tell us what they are? Well, why don't you tell us what they are, because there's one at every elementary.
There is one in every school. They were placed as a result of a grant given by AEF. And it is amazing to see the amount of creativity that the kids demonstrate when they're in the innovation lab. It's amazing. They create things out of nothing.
So are there different labs at different schools?
There's a lab in every school.
But are they different, or are they all the same model at every school?
I think they base it on the same model. The librarians in Auburn work very closely together, so they share ideas.
So what would a student at Owasco be doing?
They could have cardboard, they could have paper, and they're asked to create something with that. They have been building towers out of spaghetti, and to see which one can build the tallest and sustain it. They are learning to program the bot so that the bot can get from point A to point Z. So it's a range of activities, and hopefully it is something that they can use as they move on to the junior high, and we can expand at the junior high. By the time they get to the high school, our students are going to be way ahead of the game in terms of their ability.
Whole idea of STEM.
Absolutely.
Yes, well,
Science and
and
technology.
STEAM, yes.
And in fact, at the event that we had with the author, that was also a maker fair, and students from each of the elementary schools, it was voluntary, but they, through the innovation labs, they had to come up with an environmental problem and had to go through a whole solution thing, and then they presented their projects at the Hilton at a maker fair, and the delightful, some very very creative projects were up there.
So when did you end up back at Owasco?
Well, I've been at Owasco since the beginning of February, and I'll be there
you-
through the end of the school year, June.
And so they're going to hire, you're not taking over, you're not going back?
I am not going to be the
Even though
permanent
Ms.
principal.
Ken Post might have some thoughts on
He probably would.
on that. And just so from an organizational point of view, is this your last year as president of AEF?
This is finally my last
For
year.
now.
For now, and you're taking over.
I
and
will,
You're the vice
yes.
president. Okay, and you're both invited. Are you still staying on the board after this?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Got
Yes.
no choice in that. All right,
Absolutely.
so
Switching positions.
just switching. So just again, you can go online. You can buy tickets for May 17th. It's at 7 o'clock
7 o'clock.
at the Hilton Garden Inn. There are the 5 nominees that you can meet there. We had talked about Michael Lynch, class of '69 at East Middle, East
High.
Yes, East High. Brian McCune, class of '81. Tricia Purdy, Messenger, class of '96. Julie Jordan, De Palma, '97, and of course John Libator of '03. We want to thank Janie Hutchinson and Mickie Post of the Auburn Education Foundation for joining us. We encourage you to go to this event. It's very fun. You get to hear a lot of stuff about Auburn and its history, but more importantly, it does prove that Auburn is the center of the universe on this. We're going to be off next week, but in 2 weeks we'll have Congressman John Cacco in the studio to give a district in Washington update. Assemblyman Gary D. Finch will also be in later that week to give us an update on the budget that was passed by the legislature on April 1st for 2019-2020. We'll also have in the studio Adam Winslow of the Auburn Doubledays, who will talk to us about the upcoming season as well as new turf at that field, and Jessica Wrench of Leadership Cayuga in the Chamber of Commerce to talk about the current class and also trying to recruit for the class of 2020. We'd love to have your ideas for questions and thoughts. You can contact us at cozguitho@aol.com. Or Inside Government, 141 Dunning Avenue, Auburn, New York, 13021. We look forward to having your questions for both Jeff Perazzola and City Manager Jeff Dygert, who will be on finishing off our season at the end of the month, talking about their respective budgets. And then, of course, on Auburn, a large school district forum is on Thursday, May 2nd, but Jeremy Boyer will be asking the questions of the candidates. I will just be moderating. I'm Guy Cosentino for QU Community College. We want to thank you for watching. We hope you have a good night, have a great tomorrow, and happy Easter or Passover. And I'll tell us when we're done.